Well, hey folks, coming at you from the Florida backcountry, and I'm excited today to talk through building out a Ziploc 48-hour survival kit. I wanted to take some time today and just walk through as we get into hiking season. Everyone's getting in the outdoors. Maybe you're new to the outdoor arena and doing day hikes and backpacking and outdoor adventuring. What are some simple ideas, some simple gear items that can really help you out in an emergency situation? That can make your life either easier until you're picked up, or in an emergency situation, possibly be the difference between getting you and keeping you alive until rescue teams can find you, or helping you get out of a particular situation. And so I've taken some time to just pack up in a Ziploc bag what are a few gear items that can really help with that scenario and help make your outdoor adventure just that much safer, that much more enjoyable, and you know that you have reliable gear items that can help you out of a lot of sticky situations. Alrighty, let's dive right in. Made it back from our trip in the Florida backcountry here at the RV park, so I do apologize if you got some background noise or diesels driving through, or some weird cuts. But we're gonna jump right in with this quart-sized Ziploc baggie. Now you can do all kinds of different organizers, pouches, waterproof bags. This is kind of the cheapest, most inexpensive way to kind of get your foot in the door of creating a survival kit like this. And we're gonna start off with three really important pieces that I think are necessary, which would be a compass, a decent type of compass, all kinds of different brands and models out there. This is a Brunton compass made right here in America. But you got to know where you're going. Emergency whistle, because you can't yell forever before your voice wears out. And then I've got a mini reflective mirror for signaling. Now, it's always good to have some form of an aperture, and actually what I've done is I've just put some Scotch tape over the mirror itself, and then I will peel that away if and when I ever needed to use it, because the more scratched up and dinged up your mirror gets, the less bright and easy it is for it to be seen. So that's just a little pro tip there. I've been doing that now for a little bit, and it seems to be working really well, and it's very easy to remove. There's no film or gunk, that damages the mirror. But signaling, really important. Next up is a multi-tool or pocket knife of some kind. There's all kinds of different versions and models. Swiss Army knives, Victorinox are super popular. They're pretty compact and pretty inexpensive. This is, I believe, the Evo Grip S18, I believe. And you got all kinds of stuff from, your basic blade that you would want, but also say like a wood saw as well. So that can help with a lot of different tasks that you may need. Screwdrivers, like all kinds of different stuff on this, as well as a good pair of tweezers. I do have a little Night Eyes kind of industrial strength twist tie is basically what this is, all rubberized. These are awesome to lash to different things, use, keep track of it. But I mean, having basically this is the main piece. Even if you just go with a super basic pocket knife and that's all it had on there, would be better than nothing. But an edge tool of some kind at minimum, I think, is really important. But I really like that Swiss Army knife. Now, in this day and age, we almost always have our phones on us, and that can sometimes be one of the best survival tools that you have. Calling in for help, getting out of that sticky situation. So having some form of small recharging bank, power bank. I use Anchor stuff almost nonstop. I mean, I love these things. Very small, slightly larger than, say, like a chapstick tube. But this can charge about 75% of my phone's battery, which is more than enough to help me, get signal if the phone died for some reason, or I've been trying for days and, just are trying to get somebody's, attention basically and call out for help. But what happens if you do need to call for help and reach out to first responders and emergency personnel, but there's no cell phone coverage? That's where a device like Zoleo comes into play. And having used the satellite communicator for the last 9 months, it has now become just as an essential piece of gear as any of the items that we're looking at today. Because it empowers me to stay in regular contact with the loved ones in my life, letting them know that I'm doing okay, where I'm located at, if there was ever an issue through the Zoleo device. I'm able to do that not only with their integrated app, which is very easy to navigate and use, but I can also do it through standard SMS and email as well. But in 2022, they've updated 2 key features, giving you now progressive SOS, meaning that instead of just pushing an SOS button and hoping that the signal goes out, giving your GPS coordinates to first responders and search and rescue, now it not only sends it out
lets you know that it was sent, that it has been received, and each step of the way as first responders are getting to your location when you are in that emergency situation. A feature that most other satellite communicators like this just don't offer. And that's why I'm really glad to have them sponsoring the content in this video. And that's just scratching the surface of the features and capabilities of this satellite communicator. Now, having used the ZOLEO from the mountains of Wyoming to the deserts of Utah and the thick undergrowth of Florida, it gives me and my family an amazing way to not only communicate when I'm off grid, but also being able to have that sense of security of knowing I have the ability to reach out to search and rescue in an emergency situation, regardless if I have cell coverage or not. And we have an exclusive promo code for you, the viewers. It's GT4 ZOLEO, and that's going to waive the $40 activation fee if you pick up one of these ZOLEO satellite communicators.
So check out that hyperlink in the description box below so that you can see all that ZOLEO has to offer, and you can make a wise decision if that's something that you want to pursue, to have that communication, just that extra level of peace of mind and safety when you hit the backcountry. And with that, let's go ahead and get back to it.
Now, cordage, super important. There's just literally hundreds of things you can do with cordage. I'm actually using a form of bank line that has reflective pieces in it. It's about 15 feet right there, so I can do all types of different lashing. It's still pretty strong. I think it can just about handle my body weight, which is just over 200 pounds is what it's rated for. I think it's like maybe 250 is what the rope and cordage is rated for, but some form of cordage I think would be very important to have. Followed up here by fire starting capability. Very important, not only for signaling, but also you know, keeping yourself warm at night, possibly keeping animals and critters at bay, you know, all those things. So I have two different ways to start a fire. Obviously a Bic lighter, and this would be the way that you would want to start with, obviously. And then, you know, if that's got water damage, water lock, you know, whatever, then a fire steel of some kind. This is an old Gerber Bear Grylls edition, really compact, but it actually throws sparks really well for how small it is. Pretty easy to manipulate. I don't know if they actually make this anymore, but I really have enjoyed using this over the years. So some form of good fire starter, you know, that doesn't require fuel in case the Bic was damaged in some way. And then some form of tinder. There's all types out there. You can even just use a cotton ball and put some Vaseline on it. These are some pre-treated little tinder wads. Definitely test these before you go, you know, trust them in a survival kit. So, you know, take one, use it, make sure it lights very easily for you so you kind of know how it works, but something like that. And this is again in another Ziploc bag, so this is like double, you know, waterproof on that front. Followed up by some medical supplies. I think this is something that is often overlooked. I actually kind of prefer to have a separate med kit so that it's not as messy, but you know, in concept, just a one-stop shop pouch, Ziploc bag, you throw it in your pack, you don't have to think about it, is definitely an option, but I would actually break this up into two pouches so that you can grab your medical supplies even quicker and easier. But what we have here is not only some, you know, painkillers, but also some antihistamine in case I'm having an allergic reaction or someone I'm with. Followed up by a pretty good size gauze pad. Then just a little boo-boo kit. This is inside another little Ziploc baggie, again helping to protect against, you know, water, moisture, and that stuff. Now these two last pieces, you definitely need to know what you're doing with them, but I carry them with me, so I'm sharing them with you. The first off is a Swat Tea Tourniquet. If you've been following the channel, know this story. Have actually used this on a buddy of mine years and years ago. Got a wicked gash, was bleeding profusely. Applied this. This can either be a compress to be used in unison with the large gauze and wrapped around. It's basically a giant rubber band. It's a huge fat rubber band. And you can either use it as a compress or as an actual tourniquet to cut off circulation if there is a horrible wound. And the way that I used it, I was able to cut off circulation. And once we finally got, you know, like an hour away was the doctor. When my buddy finally got to the doctor said if this had not been applied, my buddy would have probably bled out by the time we had seen medical personnel. So very important to have. There are risks to using a tourniquet, so know what you're doing with those, but it's light, it's pretty compact, obviously it's fitting in here and could save a life, and they're rather inexpensive, between like 15 and 20 bucks at this point. Now in unison with that, I also have some Coagulant. This is a Celox rapid bandage, which will cause hemorrhaging to stop. So again, if there was a gunshot wound, a stab, a slash that's just brutal, and it looks like the person may be bleeding out, and you know, loss of blood is possibly life-threatening, this is something to use. There are obviously, again, risks to be used with that. Use all this at your own risk. It's good to get some sort of basic, medical training, know how to use this stuff, but I also carry that as well in an emergency situation. It is really good to have something like that. And these two other items can kind of be paired with that. It's great to have just 100% cotton bandana. There's, I think, like over 100 things you can do with a bandana, and more probably that people are coming up with all the time, from not only making it into a secondary tourniquet, bandage, head wrap, face garb. I like to do high vis. That's why I went with this red. So again, I could flag down somebody if I had to, it just helps with that. More visible, tie it to a pack while I'm hiking, even if, search and rescue is trying to find me. So you can even use it for tinder because it's cotton, just so many things. Filter out water, things like that a cotton bandage or a bandana will do. Then I have a high vis reflective heat blanket, space blanket, those aluminum foil looking things. This one's just a high vis again, so that I can be seen. That's the point with a survival kit. The survival kit is not like I'm gonna go hide away from, bad people. The point is to be seen. The point is to be found and discovered so that you can get out of that sticky situation. Prayerfully, you don't even have to use this for 48 hours, but if you had to, hopefully this kit would help you with 48 hours or even maybe a little bit longer. Now this next one is kind of tricky for me. I had a hard time committing to this versus a headlamp. I believe in hands-free illumination whenever possible. In this size Ziploc bag with the options that I have here, it was basically impossible. There are a few very small headlamps. I just don't have them, in my collection to use. I may invest in one soon. The ones I have are just a little too bulky, so I decided to go with a flashlight, but having some form of illumination in case you had to walk, at night, you think where you're at, or whatever you're doing, and you're gonna try to find a place. Maybe it's dark and you finally have committed to, spending the night and you need help, getting your fire started, so now you have illumination. So something compact, small, a headlamp would be ideal in my opinion. This one does have a loop, so I could put it on the bill of a hat, and I almost always hike with some form of a baseball cap, so that would give me at least some hands-free stuff. But some form of illumination would be really, really good to have, and preferably hands-free if possible. Now, I throw in a couple extra Ziploc bags just for different, waterproofing, carrying different things if I need to, but also for the sake of water purification. I have a few aqua tablets here that will expire next year, so I need to be ready for that and replace these. But this will be able to purify water that I may encounter. I could scoop it up in the Ziploc baggie if I had to, if for some reason I lost my Nalgene or bladder or whatever I was using, and just be able to filter water that way as well. I do have a butt wipe. I mean, what happens if you got gut bomb, nature calls, during this situation? The last thing I want to be having to do is use pine needles to try and clean out my booty. So having something like this is very helpful. Things here, just got some cash in case I had to flag somebody down on a dirt road, and I could offer them something to help get me out of there if I had to spend a night somewhere. I try to have about $100, so that I could pay for a hotel room somewhere if I had to. Then I just have a gift card with some duct tape attached. Just fixing different things, whatever it may be. But I also have some Tenacious Tape, which is kind of like cloth tape designed for, this is better than duct tape for packs and clothing. So if your pack rips out, if your clothing causes a tear, something to have there. This is just some different size patches that you can cut out and use. So again, in another Ziploc baggie. So tons of Ziploc bags on top of the Ziploc bag here. And then finally, these are actually not the highest calorie that you could go with, but basically some form of a bar. Higher the calorie content, the better. One per day for that 48 hours will help sustain you. It's something to look forward to. At the end of a long trek, if you're trying to get out or you're just waiting and maybe they search and rescue saw you, but you have no idea when someone's gonna come get you, you have this to not only sustain your energy to keep moving and keep doing what you're doing, but it's also like a mental, your mind games that you might be playing if you're like, okay, I'm gonna hike for the next 8 hours and then I got that bar, and yes, my stomach's gonna be starving and I'm gonna be so hungry and it's not gonna be enough, but at least it's something to motivate yourself and kind of look forward to. So there you have it, folks. There's a quick tutorial on building out a 48-hour survival kit in a Ziploc baggie, and I look forward to hearing your guys' comments as well. If there's items that maybe you think I missed, things that you like to use, I always appreciate the comments that you guys throw down below. I appreciate you guys so much. I invite you to subscribe if you're not yet a subscriber here. Check out the other video popping up. And until next time, always remember, stay equipped, stay prepared, and I'll see you out there.